But I mastered their styles like the 5 deadly venom. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, and he could destroy it.
Believe in that, real. We plan to take the same strategy we use with Death Row West, mind over matter, taking all our weaknesses and making it into our strength. That all these people talk about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion. We here to bring money and to bring change. They here to cause confusion. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game. If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 years ago, because we've been beat these. It's not a game.
There's gonna be some stuff you're gonna see that's gonna make it hard for you to smile in the future. But through whatever you see, through all the rain and the pain, you got to keep your sense of humor. You got to be able to smile through all the bullshit. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I return to you as EGOVELI Outlaw West Side. Now, I had to do this video in EGOVELI form. I'm going to tell you an update that I just read an article, and I'm going to give my thoughts and really break it down why I feel that EGOVELI needs to be present in this video. Now, I was on the Bleacher Report. They got an article with some Pacquiao updates, and Mike Coppinger of USA Today is reporting that Terence Crawford, from his sources, is out of the race for the Pacquiao fight. And Pacquiao is not selecting Crawford, right? And instead, he's going to defend his title in late February. So, according to Aram or whoever you talk to, that's the scoop. Meaning, Terence Crawford is not any longer in the race. He's not considered an opponent for Manny Pacquiao's final fight. Now, the reason this is upsetting is I did an Ego rumor mill video a while ago. A lot of people say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 right? And I told you that from what I heard, it looks like Timothy Bradley Part 3. The reason that I feel this way, let's break it down. Why I don't personally want to see Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley 3 is I want to see especially if this is going to be his last final fight. They're saying that in the article, Pacquiao is likely to choose Bradley because he's familiar with him and Bradley's a bigger name. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, since when is it about fighting who you're familiar with? And I hate to do this on Pacquiao's birthday because happy birthday, Manny Pacquiao. He turns 37 today. But I'm not on board with the Bradley 3 fight. Bradley's a hell of a fighter, once beaten. His only loss was to Manny Pacquiao. And this is what throws me with a lot of the casual fans. A lot of the casual fans will speak out on certain topics and they'll be outrageous and make these irrational points that come to later bite them in the behind. Because when Bradley beat Pacquiao on paper, a lot of those same casual fans said, oh, and I'm not calling you casual if you pick Pacquiao in that first fight, because I thought Pacquiao beat Bradley in the first fight. I don't think Pacquiao looked sensational, but I would have gave the win to Pacquiao in a closer fight than what people said it was. But my point being, you talk to the casual fans, they go out of their way to belittle, oh, wheelchair Bradley, Pacquiao don't need to rematch him and get his belt back. It doesn't make sense for him to rematch him. Like, how doesn't it make sense to get your belt back when you feel you were robbed, at least on paper, and he has the win over you? Right? I mean, I never understood that from a fighter's perspective. Why would that be an okay solution? But using what they say that they don't even need to fight a second time. And then Pacquiao gets to a point in his career where he says, you know what? I'm going to fight Bradley again, right? After the Marquez knockout or whatever. He said, I'm going to fight Bradley again. And then now the fans are on board. All that stuff they did to belittle Bradley, wheelchair Bradley, and all this other stuff, pillow-fisted Bradley. Now they're okay and on board with the part 2, which is cool. Set the record straight. Pacquiao wins that fight. So in your mind, Manny Pacquiao holds 2 wins over Bradley. One he wasn't given credit for, but you thought, oh, Bradley got his ass whooped by Pacquiao both times, right? That's what you think. Why do we want to see a rubber match, a third match? It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? I had Pacquiao winning both fights. Again, I don't think he looks sensational. He was fighting in spurts in the first fight, but I thought he did enough to win. And then the second fight, I thought he was losing like the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then Bradley gassed out or changed his game plan or whatever, and then Pacquiao took over and made the adjustments, and I thought he beat him again. So again, why would I want to see this a third time? Oh, let me guess, because he's with Teddy Atlas. Here's another reason why casuals always check for consistency, like I repeatedly say. A lot of the casual fans, they go out of their way to discredit Timothy Bradley and his performance over Brandon Rios. Oh, he did that against Rios. Rios is a quote-unquote punching bag. Rios was inactive on a long layoff for 8 months. That's the only reason he stopped Brandon Rios. And it's that same Brandon Rios performance that launches him into a Pacquiao Bradley Part 3. So you can't go from discrediting Bradley's win over Brandon Rios, saying all these excuses why Rios, oh, that wasn't the same Rios and all this. And then now that's the performance that we have to go off. And that's what they're going to use to sell Pacquiao Bradley 3, right? They're going to say, oh, he stopped a guy who hadn't been stopped before in Brandon Rios. But again, a lot of those same fans were discrediting Timothy Bradley because he fought faded Brandon Rios and all this extra stuff. So again, it's just not high on my list. I was really hoping Terence Crawford got the fight because, to me, there's only one Mayweather. But Terence Crawford is considered the next Mayweather, if you will. Like a guy who could take over the reins, take the bull by the horns, skill-wise. He's ambidextrous. He could fight like a righty. He could fight like a southpaw. And he's considered a guy who has the potential to be the next Mayweather in terms of the skill department. Very skilled, fluid, the way he moves, has the mindset of a champion, and he is a champion, etc., etc., etc. So that's my whole point. That's why I wanted to see him get the fight or Amir Khan, because those are great fights you can make. Terence Crawford, you lost to Mayweather beat you convincingly, reduced you to landing 71 punches. You guys can leave comments about shoulder injuries and stuff, but for whatever reason, Pacquiao lost, and I don't think it had anything to do with the shoulder. That's me personally. But regardless, you lost to Mayweather. Now, if Mayweather's retired, you can't get that rematch. To me, I think Terence Crawford, in terms of skill and what he's estimated to be in the future, would be the next best consolation prize, if you will. You know what I mean? A very skilled, athletic fighter. This one's undefeated like Mayweather. He's younger than you. Like I said, it's an intriguing matchup because he can switch to southpaw. Or Amir Khan, great backstory. You both trained in the same gym. You've sparred each other before. Amir Khan's looking for that big fight. And I told people I didn't think that would happen because obviously Top Rank, from what I've seen historically, they try to make the fights that are in-house first, unless it's a fight like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, which was going to make so much money for everybody that it would be stupid to have passed that up for another 5 years or whatever. So I'm just really disappointed. Now, again, it's not official. I will make an updated video if my Ego Rumor Mill video was wrong, or if this updated report about Terence Crawford being out of the race is wrong. I will clarify that. But I have no choice but to believe this, because I seen an interview and Bradley and Terence Crawford were the names that Bob Arum said it's down to. You know what I mean? Matisse, I think, was a person initially they wanted to possibly have in the running, but he got his ass beat and quit versus Victor Postal. So that left Top Rank with one less option for Manny Pacquiao. That's why another reason I think it's true is because why would it take so long to announce it? You know what I mean? They said, oh, yeah, we'll have a decision by mid-November. And fast forward to today, it's already December. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to have it by True TV. Nonito Donaire's fight on True TV. Still didn't happen on the Nonito Donaire versus Juarez fight or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So to me, the fact that there is a delay, I think it's being delayed because they're trying to figure out how they're going to sell it, maybe negotiating some of the parameters, how much money Bradley's going to get, location, things like that, and how they're going to sell this particular fight, how they're going to build up this particular fight, because there is some backlash. Again, why check for consistency? Why do people want to see this if in their mind Bradley got his ass whooped by Pacquiao twice? That's what they said, not me. That's what they were saying. So why would you try to justify and say a third fight needed to happen? Like, you look at Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado. Mike Alvarado got stopped in the first fight. He says in his mind it was a premature stoppage, and that fight was very competitive and it was a war, so they did a sequel. Then in the rematch, Alvarado got hurt, weathered the storm, and then hurt Brandon Rios, and Alvarado was awarded the decision. So a third rubber match, a third fight, a trilogy fight with that made sense. Same thing with Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti. Rubber matches in those situations make sense based on the competitiveness of that fight. But in the fans' eyes, a lot of fans, they said Bradley lost both fights. Now it's coming back to haunt them, because if that's the case, then why do you want to see a third fight? Oh, because he's with Teddy Atlas and now it's going to be a different fight. And for me, again, if Pacquiao's going out, I'd rather see him again against a fresh face. Some of you guys think I'm joking, but I'm dead ass serious. Me personally, ego, I would rather see Pacquiao fight Berto or Maidana. You know what I'm saying? If we're just talking about random names in the hat. You know what I mean? And I'm dead serious. Because at least we would be seeing Pacquiao in there with guys who are younger than him, guys who are physically bigger than him. Berto has speed, just like Pacquiao has speed. And Maidana's just relentless killer. If Maidana can make weight, he always makes a fun fight. I would literally rather see those two options. People are like, oh, why did Mayweather fight Berto? Mayweather fought Berto because he had already climbed the top of the mountain, or at least what was perceived the top of the mountain, even though it turned out to be an easier fight for him than his fights with Cotto, his fights with De La Hoya, his fights with Maidana in the first fight. You know what I mean? And that mountain was Pacquiao. So he rewarded himself by, like, I've had a tough schedule. I fought, in my last 6 fights, I fought Cotto, I fought Guerrero, I fought Canelo when he was undefeated and a champion and 21 years older, so over a decade younger. I fought Maidana twice, who Maidana was kind of dirty, bigger. Maidana got cracks and heart. And I fought Pacquiao. So for my farewell fight, I'm going to take a former champion, former 2-time champion in Berto. He's still younger. He's still strong with some speed, and we'll see what it does. Pacquiao lost to Mayweather. So the fight of the century, you lost. So your farewell fight is different, because you have ground to make up because you lost to Floyd Mayweather. So people always compare like, oh, but you weren't crying when Mayweather fought Berto. Mayweather beat his Goliath or whatever, the fighter of the decade, in Manny Pacquiao, a fight that people said was, up until it actually happened and we seen the conclusion, they said Pacquiao was his biggest threat. Even Mike Tyson picked Pacquiao to defeat Mayweather. He says Floyd won't be able to keep up throwing one punch at a time. He doesn't throw. He doesn't have a high enough volume. Pacquiao's going to be like do all over him. You know what I'm saying? And then that didn't happen. Then all of a sudden, oh, it was 5 years too late and stuff. So again, that makes more sense, because Mayweather Berto, I never sold it like, oh, that was the greatest fight, welterweight fight that could have been made. But he did that because he had already proven what he needed to prove by beating Pacquiao, who was the guy for 5 years that was supposed to beat him. Pacquiao was on the losing side of things. Shoulder injury or whatever you want to say, he lost. So that's why I don't want to see him go out with a fight that the consensus is he beat Bradley twice. I'd rather see him fight a Berto because it's a fresh face. I'd rather see him fight a Maidana because it's a fresh face. You know what I mean? A Keith Thurman. Why do people keep saying Floyd Mayweather needs to fight Golovkin? He needs to rematch Canelo, even though he whooped him for pretty much 12 rounds. Why does Floyd need to fight Keith one-time Thurman and Sean Porter, yet Pacquiao doesn't need to fight the Khans, the Porters, the Keith Thurmans? You notice that? How people don't link Pacquiao to fight them, and they're going to try to justify a fight with Pacquiao and Bradley 3. Now, again, the thing with the matchup is, I'm not saying Bradley's a chump. Bradley's a hell of a champion. He's a great fighter. However, he got a vacant belt versus Jesse Vargas, right? A guy who's a career 140-pounder. Then he beat Brandon Rios, who named Brandon Rios his best win at welterweight. Mike Alvarado, 3. A guy who's never fought at welterweight. Diego Chavez, he won by default, by disqualification. He lost to Pacquiao at welterweight. What's Brandon Rios' best win? So, again, I'm a realist. Timothy Bradley, he has a great resume, deep resume, great fighter. I liked his partnership with Teddy Atlas. However, there's other threats and there's other options. To me, again, anybody at welterweight, I'd rather see Danny Garcia versus Pacquiao, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, or Terence Crawford. All of those fights I would rather see than a Bradley 3, because you look at Kell Brook, you look at Keith Thurman, you look at Sean Porter, you look at Danny Garcia, all those guys have power and they're all younger than Pacquiao. So when is the last time Pacquiao's fought a young, strong fighter not at a catchweight? Like, what year was it? You know what I'm saying? Someone who was like drastically younger than him, 6 years younger than him or whatever, that had already been at the division he fights at. Like Danny Garcia even. He fought Paulie Malignaggi, so at least he has one fight, even though that's not realistic because he's fighting Guerrero. I'm just saying hypothetically. Somebody who's already been at the welterweight division that he fought. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. So me, again, Bradley, you like you said, you're already familiar with that style. So why would I'd rather see you fight a fresh face. You don't know what Keith Thurman's going to bring to the table, or Sean Porter. That's someone you used to spar with, and from what I heard, Sean Porter gave Pacquiao some good work, and it was back and forth wars in sparring. So I'd much rather see that than someone who's limited in the power department, been banged up a little bit in some fights like Ruslan Provodnikov, his fight with Diego Chavez, got hurt in the 12th round versus Jesse Vargas. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Keith Thurman got hurt versus Luis Collazo, but he didn't get hurt in every fight. And he's also stopped guys like Diego Chavez. Bradley went and fought a draw with Diego Chavez. So to me, it's nothing against Bradley. I'd rather see Bradley fight Khan, Bradley versus Kell Brook. He's definitely a great fighter, but I'm just not for the recycled rematches when they don't need to happen. To me, a rematch or trilogy or rubber match, whatever you want to call it, really should happen when that's a necessity. Why not give a guy like an Amir Khan a chance? He has a couple fights at welterweight, and you used to spar with him. Why not give an undefeated fighter who's slick and ambidextrous like Terence Crawford a chance? Again, Mayweather beat his quote-unquote demon by beating the guy that was supposed to beat him for 5 years in Pacquiao. Pacquiao came up short after all that debate for 5 years. So to me, for his farewell fight, it's a bit different because he has some ground to make up. He has something more to prove. Like, not saying he has a great resume. I'm not saying he has something to prove, but people always say, oh, why didn't Mayweather want to go out with the bang with Berto? Because his bang was going out in the Pacquiao fight, the fight he was quote-unquote scared to fight that some of y'all in the comment section said he would never take on, and that was Pacquiao. So he after that, he got to a point he was like, man, I already beat the dude. You said he was the guy who was going to dethrone me, and that wasn't the case. Now I'm fighting Berto, and I'm going to ride off into the sunset. So it doesn't make as much sense for Pacquiao to ride off into the sunset when you lost the biggest fight, the most meaningful fight in your career. And then you're going to fight Bradley. And if you do win, you're going to, in some fans' mind, have 3 wins over the same person. Like, I'm not for this Marquez 5, Bradley 3, Eric Morales 6. And why do you need to fight the same person over and over and over again? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. And for me, I'm not really for the recycled rematches, rubber matches, unless it really makes sense, i.e. Gotti Ward. Those are all very, very competitive. Every single time Bradley fights Pacquiao, he gets hurt. Oh, I didn't wear socks. Oh, I sharded. You know what I mean? Whatever the situation is, he's been getting hurt. Look at the fights with, like I said earlier. Like, I wouldn't want to see Floyd versus Maidana 3 because there's no reason. Floyd already won twice. You know what I mean? Why do I need to see it? The first fight was competitive. Second one was less competitive. That's just me. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.